Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing A Quiet Place. Now this film is directed by John Krasinski, stars John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Noah Jupe and Millicent Simmons. It's the story of a family trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world and are forced to live in silence due to creatures trying to kill them that are drawn to them through sound. So the family do their best to live a simple and quiet life, to survive and stay away from these creatures and to stay as silent as they can within their thing. So they live on a farm and they've set things up to make sure that the silence continues, such as putting sand on the ground, not wearing shoes, marking particular sections of their homes and houses that they can walk that don't creak. And what starts out as them trying to live a normal life turns into a fight for survival. Due to certain circumstances, the creatures end up finding them. Look, this film starts with a bang and ends with a bang. Look, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I thought it was a really, really good thriller. John Krasinski's directed and crafted a really wonderful film. It's intense but also dramatic, and it keeps you hooked in. You want to know what's happening, you want to follow this family, you get involved in the story, and I got hooked from the beginning. And what it does, that I've started to see a trend in a lot of sort of thriller horror films, is it's spending more time with the family, so we get into, or the people involved ultimately. So films like Devil's Candy, Ouija, Origins of Evil, these sort of films focus more on character and family and the characters and divulging who they are through the story. And this film absolutely does that. It sets up so much that we really care about the family, and we want to go on the journey, and we want to make sure that they get through this no matter what happens and what's thrown at them, because there's such a great family unit and such great characters. And I just feel this film is so well written. It has an anchoring point. It'll bring up something at the start of a film at a certain point, and then they'll bring it back later. And it's such an important thing. There's no piece of dialogue or scene wasted. It's just well written, put together and directed. And there's suspense in it. Yes, it does have jump scares in it, and that does turn off a lot of people because we are filled with films these days that are full of jump scares. But I feel the jump scares serve a purpose in this film. And the other character in the film is the sound. The sound design is fantastic. It's quiet when it needs to be. There's one character that's deaf, and when we're hearing the world through hers, it's complete silence. I really thought that was really great. And then when the creatures appear, it is very loud, but there's a purpose to that, to create suspense and the thrilling moments for the family and for the audience. And look, the acting's all solid. John Krasinski and his wife Emily Blunt do a really great job in this film. You really care for both of them. And the young kids, Noah Jupe and Millicent Simmons, both are really solid as the kids in this as well. And Millicent is actually really deaf in real life, so it's really cool to see an actress who is deaf is cast in such a film that it's ultimately shaped around in that sound. She doesn't hear sound, and it's how she interacts with this world and these creatures trying to kill them, and how she sort of overcomes these sort of things and goes through the story. It does this really great thing of setting up the characters, then something will happen, and then they'll learn a bit more about the characters, something else will happen, learn a bit more, and it's just, we learn more and more about the characters through the story and through the film as it goes along. Visually, I really thoroughly, it's beautifully shot, it looks really nice. I like the design of the creatures, and I like how they sort of work based upon the sound. I like how they work. They don't have any eyes, but it's all about the sound, what they hear, and is how they attack. I'd love to know more about where they came from and things like that. And there has been a theory going around this is part of the Cloverfield series, which I could see it fit nicely into that. It's a different take on the previous Cloverfield sort of film. I just liked the way this was put together. And I was hooked from the beginning. Even in the slow parts, it hooked me, and I wanted to go on the journey with these people. I wanted to make sure that they survive and got through this sort of thing. And there's so many great moments of suspense that draw you in, and you're just there with them. It's like it's so absorbed in the story that you don't even notice that you are such drawn into it. It's just so well done like that. Look, there are a couple of things that I struggled a little bit with, especially at the beginning. At the beginning, I won't give too much away, but at the beginning this thing happens, and then the film jumps forward, but I didn't know whether it was going back and telling the story of what happened to them and led them to that point, or if it was jumping forward. That question is answered, but I just felt a bit confused with what time period it was.
And I guess the other thing is the
went to
jump
next
scares. I
scene,
guess,
you know, there are quite a few of them in that, but I think, like I said earlier, they do serve a purpose. Final verdict: if you like a good thriller that's, you know, drama based, so it's really about getting to know these characters and investing in them, in a, you know, scary thriller element sort of film, you'll probably thoroughly enjoy this. If you like Emily Blunt or John Krasinski, you probably enjoy this as well. But just be warned that don't go into it thinking it's an average horror movie, because it definitely is not. It's more of a drama thriller than anything, with really great, you know, development of characters and a family, with a horror sci-fi, with a sci-fi thriller element to it. So I think when I went to the movies to see it, there were some young people who I did overhear saying it was boring, and I can understand that because they may have come into it expecting it to be a non-stop thriller, or a horror movie per se. And look, it is sort of non-stop in certain aspects, and it sort of has great moments of quietness between the characters that you get to know more about. And John Krasinski has talked about how Jaws was a big inspiration for the film, in the way that's sort of set up, where you look at Jaws, it's, you know, it starts simply, and then, you know, someone gets eaten by a shark, and then, you know, you learn a bit more, and then it keeps going like that. And I can really see how he used that sort of thing. Look, I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, and it's one of the best thriller films I've seen this year so far, and it's definitely going in my top 10 of the year. It's only early days, I do realise that. Anyway, that's enough from me today. If you've enjoyed what you've heard here, please hit subscribe down the bottom, and until next time, enjoy the movies.